but mason jars, that type of canning. It's also Boston Cream Pie Day. It's Crocs Day. Crocs are everywhere. College campuses, fashion runways, celebrity feet, in the garden. Oh, Crocs. And it is Slap Your Irritating Coworker Day today. I'll give you a minute to consider who you might like to slap most. There are some rules. There are some rules associated with Slap Your Irritating Coworker. You can only slap one person per hour, no more. So only one per hour. You can slap the same person again if they irritate you again later in the same day. So repeat violators.
What was that show that they had? How I Met Your Mother?
Yes.
Well,
Oh, yeah, that's right. You are allowed to hold someone down as the other coworkers take their turn slapping the irritant. Oh, so assisted slapping. No weapons are allowed other than going upside someone's head with a stapler or a hole puncher. And if questioned by a supervisor or police, you are allowed to lie. So just don't own it. So actually, there you go. There is it's okay. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, we're trying.
He'll live with a headshot until we get it fixed. There is an increasing movement across the country of the notion of having to again take your driver's test periodically throughout life.
Ooh.
Now, historically, once you get it, you're good to go. But I think we've all seen some individuals, and heaven forbid it ever happens, but eventually, Father Time is undefeated, as one Mitch McConnell said. So eventually we are all going to get old, and eventually we're probably all going to have a harder time driving or navigating or transporting ourselves. Who is it up to decide when you are too much of a threat on the roadway, too much of a danger to others that you should not drive? Or should there be additional seasons in life where you have to, driving is a privilege, not a right, have to showcase your ability to follow the rules?
I guess my question is, because I have two elderly grandparents, and both of them still drive, and I would trust both of them to still transport me. If they were to take a written test, for sure they would pass it. But the driving test, I don't know. I think now, aren't they requiring an eye exam, or going to start requiring an eye exam?
Yes, that's going to be part of your renewal.
So, I think that that's an important thing.
So I guess, do you think, let's just say you have a grandparent and they are 75. Who is more likely to do better on a written test, a 75-year-old or a 35-year-old? I'm going with the 75-year-old.
That's what I was going to say, because listen, I don't know that I would be able to pass that test. I probably would, but I would have to double check. I would have to read the rules again.
I think the case is being made that many of us are forgetting the rules of the roadway. Once we have to take the test and we get out there running, then it just used to be as simple as just showing up and going, "Oh, here I am, giving my new driver's license." And I don't know that it should be that easy.
The litmus test is when you have some any sort of outlet, or some sort of outage, and everybody's got to use the four-way stop method.
Oh, yeah.
That is a very good litmus test to who knows what's going on and who doesn't.
It's not really about how can you operate your vehicle when things are going right. It's how can you operate when things are going wrong.
I would almost suggest a defensive driving course more or less than a retake of the original test.
Yeah. There is also something that is clearly not being taught. I believe my dad has started the hypothesis, but apparently the idea of overtaking is no longer being taught. Overtaking, or what we would call passing on a two-lane road, there are people that just refuse to do it. You can have a tractor, you can have a garbage truck, you can have whatever. It's going 40 miles an hour, and you'll get 3 people just stacked up there behind them going, well, this is just the speed we're going.
Oh,
And like, no.
I don't
There's
like
a-
to take my blood pressure. I hope nobody ever gets my blood pressure whenever I'm behind stuff like that. I just, anyway.
Here's the best and worst candy to hand out to trick-or-treaters, according to kids. Our trick-or-treat supply, a candy supply, rolled into the house yesterday.
It did.
And I feel like we've got
Nom, nom.
we've got the who's who of
Yes,
Halloween
we
candies.
do.
We got the variety. We got your sour. We've got your sweet. We got your chocolate. We've got your Zaim, age 11, says the best is full-size Twix or Hershey's bar.
Well, of course, if it's full size, anything, that's good.
Like you roll into somebody's house, and you must be in a highfalutin neighborhood if you're rolling into a full-size candy bar.
We used to have a neighbor in a neighborhood we would trick or treat in. She lived there, and she was the school nurse, but she would pass out full size Cokes and candy bars.
That's fantastic. Right?
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like the school nurse.
Yeah.
11-year-old Sawyer says Sour Patch Kids because they're really yummy. 7-year-old Penny says candy corn because they taste really good. 10-year-old Joey says a king-size Crunch bar is the sign of a great house. He said the rarest candy is Sugar Babies. I've never had one in my whole entire life. Gummy Krabby Patties would also be good.
Yeah.
We get a lot of those in our Halloween.
5-year-old Musa says lollipops or Reese's peanut butter cups. Musa, you can have the lollipops. I'll take the peanut butter cups.
Same.
Isel, age 9, says there is a house in our neighborhood that sets up a table with whole bags of single brand of candy, and kids get to pick the one they want. And I watched the kid choose a whole bag of Dots with over Smarties last year.
Listen, I love dots.
You want a whole bag of them?
Maybe. I mean, Sam and I both love dots.
I like them. They're just not going to be the first candy I choose if I have a choice.
If they were the only candy around, I would probably be happy they were around. But so long as they are surrounded by other candies, it is unlikely that I'm going to pick them.
Yep.
If there are Twizzlers, I would not pick dots. If there was like something with chocolate, I would not pick dots. But after that, dots.
10-year-old Theo says king size Hershey's, king size anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
we
I
go.
think that's. I think you got it figured, Theo. The worst Halloween handouts. Zaim said the worst thing to pass out are toothbrushes and raisins.
I don't know that we pass or get much raisin.
I love raisins.
I mean, I do too, but I don't think that we get them in our
I like
Halloween boxes
raisins.
anymore.
I like raisins fine as an adult, but when I was a kid, if I'd get a box of
What
raisins
about a
trick or
yogurt
treating, it'd be
covered?
like
Yogurt covered raisins aren't bad.
thumbs down.
chocolate covered raisins.
7-year-old, somebody had those recently. 7-year-old Margot, wow, a 7-year-old named Margot, cool. She
Very
said,
cool.
in my opinion, warheads are the worst to give out because they are too sour and most kids don't like them.
You didn't grow up in the early or in the late 90s and early 2000s, my child.
Sawyer says 100 grand bars are awful. I got so many of them one Halloween and they tasted awful.
I love those.
I do too.
I think they're pretty good. 7-year-old Kana says zombie Sour Patch Kids because they look weird and taste sour. Joey says Twizzlers or licorice sticks. No one
Licorice.
likes them.
I love Twizzlers.
I'm good with Twizzlers and I'm good with red licorice. If you put black licorice around anywhere around me, we're going to fight.
Yeah, no thanks.
11-year-old Miranda says never dental floss. He probably went to a dentist's house.
I was
right?
going to
There,
say,
there is a dentist on, so like out in Covington, that area, and that's what
That's
what
the
they
thing.
do. Toothbrush,
And
toothpaste.
8-year-old Elena says fruit, raisins, veggies. No one wants healthy stuff. 5-year-old Logan said something out of the garbage. Yes, that would be bad, Logan. I agree with you.
yeah.
And 7-year-old Aya says those candies that are hard and I don't like them and I spit them in the trash. That's me. Any ones that I don't like are the worst ones. So that's simple enough for me. Now, there is also a developing trend in Halloween that I not heard of until this morning, but it is somewhat concerning. And it's a byproduct of us just taking things further than they need to be taken. right? We are figuring out a way to plus everything up, and then all of a sudden the expectations are way higher than they need to be. So think Easter basket, but boo basket. Boo baskets are pricey new Halloween trends that put money strain on cash-strapped parents. Exhausted moms and dads are slamming a new Halloween trend that requires them to gift a basket teeming with spooky season goodies to their offspring. The concept of a boo basket originated several years ago, but it's now become a hot Halloween phenomenon thanks to TikTok and other social media platforms. Well, this is just the old greeting card play. The greeting card company said, how do we sell more greeting cards? Let's invent more holidays. So the people who make boo basket, the people who make Easter baskets and say, here is a well-assembled Easter basket for you, they sit around in August and September going, we need to generate some revenue. What
Yeah.
should we do? I got a good idea. Let's go on the TikTok and tell people boo baskets are a thing.
Okay, so if you're not doing trick or treating, I could understand doing it. So, like my teenager, that isn't, that's not, he wants to, but he's just going to take his brother around this year. Maybe get them a small thing just so that they're included. But I don't know that doing it for every kid, especially if you're going to get to trick or treat, like what's the fun in that? Go trick or treat and get your candy.
I just don't.
I don't have time for it. But
I guess
Right.
here's the other thing that I would like to offer about the idea of Christmas gifts and Easter gifts. Easter is a celebration of the gift of salvation that you were given that was paid for by God sending his son to die for our sins.
right.
That's the symbolism of the gift of the Easter basket. That's the symbolism of the Christmas gift.
Yes.
Right? We were given a savior. The Messiah came in for, right? So that's what we
right.
did. I know of no gift-giving principle that applies to Halloween that says, thank you for scaring me, you little devil. Here's a boo basket.
I will say this on the Christmas side, I have a friend that their family, they've got 4 girls, and they said, and this was them growing up, they got 3 gifts from Santa because if 3 gifts were good for Jesus, then they were good for them.
Well, I like that.
Yep.
That's a lot like the
is-
3 on a String song that says if 10% is good enough for Jesus,
it's good
it
enough for
ought to
Uncle
be enough
Sam.
for Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
I ran across a story yesterday that we didn't get to, but we can't drill down on them. But 10 old-fashioned Gen X values that people in the younger generations have seemed to have lost. Things of my generation that I don't know that we were great at, but seemed like we might have been the last generation that really leaned into these. Number 1, not taking everything so seriously.
I can agree with that.
Can we agree?
Yeah.
Like,
Because I'm an elder millennial, and so I'm right on the edge of that Gen X, and so I'm interested to see if any of these I apply to.
yeah, but it just seemed like everybody's just taking, and maybe things are stressful. Like,
Like,
I
no,
understand
yeah.
it, but not everything is life and death. Number 2, this one completely, being skeptical and doing their own research. I will use navigating with an app as a perfect example that symbolizes this. In the old days, someone might tell you how to get somewhere, but you still had to probably verify via a map and read signs and do your research and where do I turn when I get here? What milestone, like what am I looking for? What, et cetera, et cetera. And people did more of their own homework and they formed more of their own ideas and opinions. But now anytime we need to know anything, we're either asking someone and we trust their answer, or everything we need to know, we'll just Google it in real time and we don't have to retain any information. And as a result, I think we're more vulnerable to conspiracy theories or just incorrect information.
Yeah. Well, like I said, my dad always said, question everything.
Sure.
I mean, that's just,
be, be inquisitive.
Sure. And
Now-
I can say on the map thing, it wasn't when my husband and I got married, we went to Florida and we used a paper map and printed off the Google
Yes.
maps
Yeah.
to follow. And then now it's like, and my app and his app, we can plug in the same destination, same app, different phones, and it will take us 2 different ways. So how am I supposed to? So look up and drive. Look up and figure out where you're supposed
By
to
the
go.
way, if your phone quits, there are road signs.
Yes,
Everywhere
there
you
are.
go, there are road signs, and they mean
Yes.
things.
Yes.
They reveal information to you that might be helpful in knowing maybe the direction you're going. Maybe you're moving north to south. Maybe you're moving east to west. Maybe you're
Yep.
all kinds of good things. Being self-reliant, being financially frugal, using face-to-face communication instead of depending upon your phone. I think all the generations are getting worse at that, by
Yes,
the way.
I agree.
I think even the older generations are relying on, oh, it's just easier to send a text, or it's like nobody seems to be talking on the phone much anymore. I'm just as bad as anyone. Embracing criticism, getting outdoors to get grounded, and giving back to your community by volunteering. I don't know so much. I think our generation, I think Gen X, was not a particularly benevolent generation. At least we haven't been to this point. One of the reasons is because we came of age in the 80s, which was the me generation. It was, like consumer debt started growing, status symbols of cars and fashion, and we kind of grew up in that. And so we have a different type of take that we were a little bit more selfish. But I think all of the generations get a little bit better as they get older.
Well,
start giving back.
and volunteerism too. I think that is regionalistic. I think there's a lot of younger folks that will volunteer now than they used to.
Yeah, I
So,
think you're right. Yeah. I think there's just more activism, et cetera, younger people, more information to share, et cetera.
Right.
Got to get to a break. We'll come back. Got more on the way. Hang around here on In the Know.
What makes Caneyville Crushed Stone the best choice? It's not just our competitive prices. It's not just the 30-plus years of industry expertise. It's not even the dedication to every customer, rock, or delivery. It's the commitment to your project. Stone by stone, this is all we do. But we do it all. From your driveway, barn, farm, and home. We have you covered. Call our friendly staff Monday through Friday, 270-879-0222. Deliveries available Monday through Saturday. Or visit us on Highway 79 north of Caneyville.
Thinking about furthering your education? At Elizabethtown Community and Technical College, you'll get a high-quality education close to home at a cost that won't break the bank. Enjoy small class sizes with professors who take a personal interest in your success. Scholarships are still available, making our low tuition even more affordable. ECTC's Litchfield campus is now enrolling for classes that start October 21st. Call 270-259-1540. ECTC. College for the real world.
Today, successful small businesses are lean, portable, and focused. If you're running your own business, you need to stay in tune to your customers, vendors, and employees. That doesn't leave much time for processing payroll and reporting, much less the overall performance of your business. The firm of Buckles, Travis, and Hart has a full offering of services for small businesses. Payroll processing, tax liability, unemployment, and financial reporting, just to name a few. Think of them like a built-in business manager, but they don't get sick and they don't ask for time off. Call or contact today to help get your business focused across the board. Buckles, Travis, and Hart, 270-259-5604. GraysonCPAs.com.
When buying or selling a home, you want experience, trust, and personal touch. But they say you can only pick two. Well, with Gina Lastly at Tom Baxter Real Estate, you get all three. With a decade of expertise as a broker, Gina's attention to detail and passion for real estate make her a trusted friend and professional. She goes above and beyond to ensure your real estate journey is smooth and successful.
I'm Gina Lasley. Put my passion for real estate to work for you. Call me now at 217-721-0034.
Discover the difference at TomBaxterRealEstate.com.
Owensboro Health offers compassionate care for addiction recovery. Nurse practitioner Kristen Buck provides a foundation of recovery from alcohol, opioids, and other addictive substances. With inpatient detox and outpatient medical assisted treatment, you don't have to walk alone on the road to recovery. To learn more about Owensboro Health Addiction Services in Litchfield, Kentucky, call 270-230-0212 or visit owensborohealth.org/addictionhelp.
K105 weather from the Wave Storm tracking team is brought to you by Smith Overhead Door, SOHD.info.
Twin Lakes weather. While a cold front does move through the area for today, we are going to be sunny and summer-like this afternoon with highs in the upper 70s and the low 80s. Now for tonight, Clear skies as temperatures fall down into the upper 30s and low 40s. Tomorrow, sunny, cooler with highs in the 60s. From the Wave News Storm Tracking Team, I'm meteorologist Tawana Andrew.
Did you know the cubicle did not get its name from its shape, but from the Latin cubiculum, which means bed chamber?
Did not know that.
So your cubicle at work doesn't have to be shaped like a cube in order to be your cubicle, because that's not where we're deriving that. But a bed chamber in Latin is cubiculum, and that's where we get cubicle.
Interesting.
I just assumed it was because of the shape.
Have you had to work in a cubicle?
I don't think so.
Whitney, have you had to work in a cubicle?
I have not. I have had to work in like a corner space, but it was not cubed, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
It wasn't. It wasn't partitioned off.
Got you. Okay, so it's like more like a bullpen style.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've never really had to do that either, so I didn't know what cubicle life is like.
No, I've never. I mean,
What about on The Office? Do we consider offices the bullpen style? On The Office, it's
think
bullpen
so.
instead of cubicle?
yeah, I think so.
Except for the assistant to the regional manager. Well, he was out there with everybody too. Michael Scott's the only one that actually had,
The office.
had walls. Whitney, it occurs to me that maybe we're going to have to be adversarial for the next week and a half
Potentially.
during the World Series.
Oh.
Aren't you all a Dodgers family?
We are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, get out.
I have a friend who her husband is a Yankees fan and her son is a Dodger fan. She said my house for the next week is going to be unbearable. So I said, thoughts and prayers, my friend.
Well, it's been a long time since these two have met, but they've met most often. They've met more than anyone
Yeah.
else. This will be the 12th meeting between the two.
I think it'll be a really good series.
I think it should be.
Yeah.
Like, two of the game's best. Even not just Otani and Judge, but Betts.
Yes.
Soto. You got some
and
great baseball players.
Somebody that's not even, we were talking over the weekend, they were looking at stats. Max Muncy is my son's favorite player and has been since he was a Dodger fan. And his on base, or, just getting on, his reaches were like 12 of 12 throughout the playoffs. And they said that's just unheard of, in major league. So it's pretty cool.
One of the things that reminded me that we are likely on opposite sides of the fence is my disdain for the Dodgers really comes from 1981, the last time these two met. Well, it has sustained me since 1981 with not liking them, but it had to do as much as anyone with Fernando Valenzuela.
Okay.
He was one of the early Mexican pitchers. Okay? We were seeing Latin Americans into the game, but they were not from Mexico. And Fernando Valenzuela was an iconic Dodgers pitcher. Well, he played for 17 seasons in Major League Baseball, pitched very well against the Yankees. And so he and Tommy Lasorda wore Dodgers uniforms, so therefore they were public enemy numbers 1 and 2, as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
Fernando Valenzuela has died at age
I saw that
63.
yesterday, yeah.
He was their Spanish-speaking broadcaster. He was part of their broadcast team. He did not return, I think, at some point in time, maybe at the beginning of the season, to focus on his health. But right here on the eve of the World Series, and now that's got me exceptionally nervous.
Why you think that there's a little bit of
I've seen Coco. I know
you
how
might
it works.
be on to something.
I know how it works.
Dear.
I mean,
That's one of my favorite movies ever.
Really?
Coco.
I mean, I'm not being preposterous.
One of
Ed.
my
I
favorite
can't
Disney
even-
movies. Yes.
I have seen the movie. And I sort of know,
Yeah. I cried all the way through it.
maybe he's somewhere with
Really?
Ernesto Cruz,
Yeah.
right? Did I get that name
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
Ernesto, yes.
Fernando Valenzuela goes on in at age 63. The trailer for Yellowstone season 5 is out, and the finale, and it has I think what is being described as a tense tone to it. It's going to be interesting to see how they eliminate John Dutton from the show.
I'm just not in. It was one of my favorites, and now I'm just kind of
Am I caught up?
too long.
I don't know if you're caught up or not.
Okay.
Were Rip and Beth married? Have you, that'd be one of the ways of knowing if you are.
I think so.
We've been talking about scary movies. 2 days ago, we talked about the scariest movie of all time. Yesterday, we talked about the top 10 movies, horror movies of all time, and only none of them were newer than 25 years old.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was The Shining, and it was Carrie, it was Psycho, Jaws was on the list. 44% of Americans watch scary movies all year long. They surveyed 3,000 Americans, and the study says viewing habits of horror fans as well as their favorite films and subgenres, 44% identified as die-hard horror fans, consuming the genre all year round, while only 6% wait until Halloween to throw on their favorite scary movie.
My daughter is wanting to watch some scary movies, so my husband's trying to find some that are her age.
Yeah.
You know, she's only 10. And I'm like, I don't really know. He goes, we should let her watch it. And I was like, no, don't make her watch that.
There's got to be a way
there's gotta
to
be a
ease
different
into
one.
that,
Yeah.
doesn't there?
Yeah.
I did realize that TBS capturing on their popularity of 24 Hours of a Christmas Story
Yeah.
by showing Ralphie, they're showing Beetlejuice for 24 hours this weekend.
Has she watched that?
Yes, I think she
Okay.
has. Yes.
Okay.
So see the original
I can come up with a
Beetlejuice,
few for you.
24 hours on a 24-hour loop on TBS coming up this Saturday. Got to get to a break. We'll come back. More on the way here on In the Know.
My wife Jean and I have been married since 1986. I just heard a lot of people gasp. That's 30 years. One of the most important lessons about marriage I've learned in that time has been this. We're different from each other, and that's okay. But we've also learned that those differences have to be navigated really carefully. You and your spouse probably see the world through different eyes. You fall asleep to noise, but your spouse needs a little quiet. You're a night owl, but your spouse enjoys mornings. For the most part, with honesty and respect, most differences can draw you together instead of driving you apart. Think of it as two sides of the same marriage coin. Side one is honesty. You and your spouse enjoy different activities, and that's okay. Be honest with each other about your likes and your dislikes, and make sure you communicate them. And be honest with yourself that your spouse will never be just like you. Don't expect your wife to become a football fan or your husband to spend every Saturday morning roaming antique stores. Learn to accept each other for who you are. But side two of the marriage coin is equally important. That's respect. Take some interest in each other's activities. Ladies, you don't have to necessarily enjoy football, but if you can sit with your husband and watch part of the game, that'll be good. And guys, if your wife loves antiques, take a Saturday and go shopping with her. It won't be that painful. Together, honesty and mutual respect will bring strength to your relationship and draw you closer together. For Focus on the Family, I'm Jim Daly.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten. Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
That's a deal, yeah. I got McDonald's money. One meal just to make me feel better. All I wanna know is, can I get a hot and spicy patty to make nuggets so crisp? And the fries go to yellow, yeah, McDonald's don't miss, yeah. Order on the app or the drive-thru quick, yeah.
participating McDonald's.
MB's point to ponder for today. Have you ever considered how caller ID put an end to prank calling?
Did it?
I think so.
Well, then you could do the
Star 69.
Yeah, thank you. And block your number.
You could, but it's
I'm
the
not telling on
last.
myself at all.
It's the last bastion, though. I mean, the idea of caller ID and knowing that data can be exchanged from phone to phone, perhaps revealing some information. Remember, the first thing was the star sequence that then you could just call back the number that just called you.
Yes.
Like that was the first shot across the bow of prank calling.
Yeah.
But when was the last time you received a prank call or made a prank call?
I can't say for myself. I can write out my 22-year-old daughter when she and another, I don't know, how old were they? 13?
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah. They prank called the pizza place or the Chinese place. I can't remember, vice versa, I'm not sure, but just to, aggravate. I marched her in and made her apologize.
Hey,
just saying.
And we didn't even get any Chinese or pizza out of the deal. That was the worst part. On TV tonight, Survivor is on. We're behind at least 2 episodes. The Merge is already tonight, so that says to me something hasn't gone someone's way. Chicago Med, The Masked Singer, and The Golden Bachelorette tonight. The highlight in history, this date in 1983, 241 U.S. service members, most of them Marines, were killed in a suicide truck bombing at the Beirut International Airport in Lebanon. Birthdays today, Dwight Yoakam, Kentucky's own, is 68. Weird Al is 65. He's not Kentucky's own. Ryan Reynolds is 48. Meghan McCain is 40. Amelia Clark is 38. Game of Thrones to you. Adlai Stevenson, born in 1835. John Heisman, born in 1869. Frank Sutton was born this date in 1922. He played Sergeant Carter on Gomer Pyle.
Okay.
He was always, I just love it when Gomer Pyle antagonized Sergeant Carter. Johnny Carson, born in 1925. Jim Bunning in 1931, speaking of Kentucky's own. Michael Crichton was born in 1952. In 1960, the Drifters were number 1 with Save the Last Dance for Me.
So darling, save the last dance for me.
Yeah, you can dance. Let's go to 1969.
I can't walk out because I love you too much.
By the way, one of my favorite Dwight Yoakam songs is his cover of this. It's in the soundtrack
Yes,
to Honeymoon
it's
in
very
Vegas.
good. It's very good.
Very good. You wouldn't suspect it, but it's good. Let's go forward to the 1970s. 1978, Little River Band, number 1. And Reminiscing. For some reason, Little River Band gets kind of overlooked, forgotten. They were great in the 80s. Like Cool Change. Cool Change, one of the greatest songs.
My dad listens to them quite a
Thanks for basically saying I'm old without
bit. No,
saying
I'm
old.
not. No, listen, I'm not saying that you're old. I just,
You're saying your dad and I could run together. That's what
Probably.
you're saying. I get it. I got it. Let's go to 1987. Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
This is one of my favorites.
It's hard. It's hard not to like
It
this song.
is. I mean, I don't, this passes the test for me.
You
and I
can't
don't do
be
country.
raised where we were raised,
And not
and
know
at
that
least
song.
not
Yeah.
appreciate. Even if you're just not all about country music, you
Right.
cannot
We
like.
had that played a lot at our middle school softball girls games, and between innings and things, and the girls were like, "Oh my gosh!" And I said, "The music is not for you; it's for the people in attendance."
That's right. We're trying to get them to buy tickets
Yeah.
to come and be in the stands.
Oh goodness gracious!
1996, Celine Dion. Whitney, have you seen the documentary on Prime with her?
On her? No, I have not, but
It's worth a watch.
I was going to say, I kind of would like to because I liked her.
She's so quirky about things, you know, and it gives her, it makes her a little more human. Understands the diva aspect to it, which she leans into. But I'm still grateful that we got to see her in Vegas when we
Yes.
did, because probably won't. And then her return on the Eiffel Tower,
Yes, I saw
like
that.
at the Olympics, was
Yeah.
just, I don't know, the symbolism of that was just amazing right there in Paris. And then a year ago today, Luke Combs #1 with the former Tracy Chapman #1 fast car. All right, MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today says, sometimes you never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Sometimes you never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today. Remember, God loves you, and I do too. If you don't know Jesus, let me know, and I'll introduce you. We look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow for another edition of our show. For Whitney Carmen, for Beej, I'm MB, and now you're in the know.
Powering through the Twin Lakes with the best mix of music, news, weather, and fun. If it's in the Twin Lakes,